is the S21 Ultra. It's a phone that takes every possible aspect of a phone and takes it to the next level. And this is obvious for a phone that literally costs 1 lakh Indian rupees and a tag Ultra in the name. But what makes S21 Ultra special? Okay, let's not dwell into the specs and that Ultra numbers. They are there, and if you are buying this phone for performance, then no need to worry. It's exceptional at that point. But there is much more to a phone than mere specs, and a phone which calls itself Ultra should have them. So, let's start off with the design. Okay, hear me out. We can kind of split the smartphone designs into two categories. One which looks glossy, flashy with all the shines to it, and the others which are subtle and minimal. Now let's not emphasize on categories and say shiny looks good or the minimal colors look good. That completely depends on personal preference. But this is a silent yet aesthetic design. I mean, it does not shout on your face and say, "Yo, I'm here, look at me." And you don't even notice it as much as you notice a Realme or a Redmi phone if you are in a crowded place. It's obvious, flashy colors are much noticeable but feels cheap. I mean, at least according to my opinion. But even though this color is such minimal, once you take it to your hand, you would probably feel the quality of the material. And actually, this minimalism kinda carries throughout the back. I know some of you might not agree with my point of saying the camera bump is minimal, but it felt minimal for me. So let me explain. Imagine having a four-sided square that has six circles inside it. Feels terrible, right? That's how S20 Ultra looked. Not only that, there are a generation of phones that looked exactly like that, and it's pretty common for us. But somehow seeing a camera cutout that blends into the phone's back felt more better than separating it out. Now the display. You know, it's Samsung and they are always good at making industry standard displays. And this is no different. It's a Quad HD panel with 120Hz refresh rate, and the cool thing is that you can have both at the same time. That's pretty cool. And if you have seen any of the flagship Ultra mobiles that cost pretty much the same as S21 Ultra, this display looks better than the most. Now, let's talk about One UI, the software that powers S21 Ultra. One UI, as some of you might know, is one feature rich user interface. But according to my graph of evaluating a UI, my number one preference for a UI is always simplicity. I generally consider features as some extra options that make you feel out of the world when you use it for the first time, but eventually there are some things that people don't use much. Now, coming back to One UI, it's surprisingly simple for people who don't want to use all the features, and also very feature rich UI for people who are gonna use it. It's like this phone is determined to give user a premium experience in and out. Here with in I mean interface, while out refers to look and feel of it. So finally, the cameras. This, as an ultra phone, has some of the ultra spec numbers. 108 megapixel main sensor, two 10 megapixel telephoto cameras out of which one is 3x optical while the other is 10x optical, and a 12 megapixel camera for ultra wide shots. So, as you heard now, this S21 Ultra has two telephoto cameras, 3x and 10x. But why two? Isn't one enough? The idea is simple here. Assume you have just a 10x telephoto camera, which means that the 10x telephoto kicks in once you touch or go beyond the 10x zoom. But 3x, 4x, or even 5x would still be digital zoom. But having two telephoto cameras, one at 3x and another at 10x, would help even with the digital zoom. I mean, cropping in digitally from 10x optical zoom to 100x gives a better picture compared to cropping in from 4x or 3x, right? Now let's look at some rare camera samples. Okay, the pictures are incredibly sharp with lot of details. But what really surprised me is the focus levels. This mobile can even focus on stuff that are so small like this, and it can lock it perfectly. I mean, I was quite surprised by it. And the blur you get out of those photos are also next level. It still has the big sensor problems. Yes, but not to an extent of disturbance. Now let's check the 100x zoom. This is 0.5x and this is 100x. Cool, right? Thanks to the telephoto cameras, the zoom pictures come out really good. Now there is one thing that impressed me in the camera and that is the zoom lock. Once you are in 100x, the mobile automatically detects the subject you are trying to focus and locks onto it, and it somehow works flawlessly. Even the night pictures came out real good. Look at this picture. This is a 100x zoom image of moon. I know it's not great in terms of details, but being able to shoot such an image with just a phone surprises me all the time. This is a 4K video sample. Moving on to the front, it has a massive 40 megapixel camera and it's one of the very few phones to have such a massive selfie camera. And the images it takes are incredibly sharp, I gotta admit that. Enough about the camera, now let's talk about the battery. It has a big battery, 5000 mAh, and it will mostly come through a day. But the charging front clearly disappointed me. It's just 25 watt and you don't get charger in the box. I mean 25 watt is not bad, but to charge a 5000 mAh battery with this charger takes some time. And yeah, the worst part is you even have to buy a charger. So, to finally sum up my thoughts, it's a great buy if you are ready to pour that great amount of ask price. So guys, that's pretty much it about this video and I hope you guys like it, and if you did, smash that like button. I'll talk to you guys in my next video.